Hi YouTube, this is Andy from All Things Mini, and today I was just blasting through some boats for my my dread fleet, and got me thinking, and I was thinking about actually sort of blending and how people might have problems when trying to blend. Now, as you might see, I will put that, as I do with most of my videos, I will put it in HD. Hopefully you might be able to make this out. Might be able to make it a bit closer. But this has already had a blend, and it has a base coat of magic blue and a top blending at the very top, as if like light is hitting it slightly, of electric blue. Now it's a mixture of these two paints here, mainly because I don't want it to be an absolute stark contrast, because that is going to come from, I think I'm going to do it like a, oops, like a night blue, which is quite a dark purple and stuff like that, and that's going to give it stark nature, and that's going to be at the back. Now, some people might have trouble in blending, and it isn't an easy thing. It's a very pretty, it's a very nice technique if you can get it down, but basically, you know, how do we do it? Well, it's all about trigger action and distance from the object that you're doing. Now, as I actually, I don't know if I've done that video yet. I haven't put it up. I mean, I've done it already, but still. My airbrush is a dual control, and for any more information on sort of airbrushing and airbrushing techniques, if you're more into sort of the arts thing, as I said, I watched some people on YouTube, and one I was watching the other day is Airbrush Tutor, quite a cool Australian chap who does, again, the most amazing artwork, just like the American chap I state. But basically, you know, they go into a lot of detail for this kind of thing. But still, my airbrush is what's known as a dual action. And basically, if you push down on the trigger, so the trigger comes down, you get airflow that comes from the moisture trap here all the way up through, and air will basically push out. Now you can use that in order to dry certain things, and when I do my sort of non-metallic metal work with my airbrush, it's not a strict non-metallic metal, but it's the closest thing I can do with one of these anyway. Basically, you use a lot of the airflow to dry the paint already that's there, because it forms a nice thin coat, and then basically you just build up a coat for your non-metallic nature. This, you push down to get your flow, and then you pull back to basically allow a variance of paint to flow. Now, when you are doing blending, you want to be very controlled, and you want to constantly be moving over the piece. So, as I said for this top part here, so if I put that one down, as I said for the top part here, you might be able to notice that it's a lighter blue on the top. Again, the lighting might not be terribly brilliant, but basically what I was doing was just basically skitting across the top with a fine spray from this. The PSI from the compressor, I think, is around about 20 PSI, and the Mac valve is also limiting it down, maybe perhaps further. I couldn't tell without putting it into some kind of pressure reading device. But basically, you push down with your trigger, you push it down, and then you start to pull back. Now, you're going to be a bit silly if you go pull back, you know, push down and then bang all the way back, because that's going to produce an awful lot of spray coming out, even if it's on low pressure. The aspect of the low pressure is to make sure that you don't blast this with paint and basically have trails of paint all over the place. If you lay it on with a nice delicate coat of air, then it has a tendency to lay on very nicely, and it will produce a nice seamless blend, and it's an important aspect. Now I'm going to try and show you now with, where's it gone? I put it down here somewhere, haven't I? It's not stormy blue, it's night blue, yes. I'm going to now try and blend this into the bottom corners I'll do it on some of these, because when I get up to these I'm going to have to mask those top bits. I'll show that anyway, you know, why not, let's go crazy. But basically I want this to blend in a nice sort of action, dark purple, and it will blend up hopefully into that blue. I might have to go to a mixture of the magic blue and the night blue and score in the middle. I'll have to wait and see how it turns out. Hopefully it'll be okay, but basically I want it to go along like that. Now, one caveat definitely with this technique for blending is make sure that your paint isn't too thick. Like in my previous tutorial or in airbrush problems that I've faced, the paint which is too thick will spot, and you really don't want that for a seamless blend. Right, so on comes the music and hopefully some good blending. Right, so you can see we've now finished the actual blending. I'm thinking on the sort of retrospect nature of this, I might have gone up a little bit too high. But still, I mean, these things can happen. You can then produce a further blend of the original colour and basically start to cancel that out. But, you know, it's growing on me. Now, there we go, hopefully you might be able to see that. Now, this is Tamiya tape, and it is incredibly useful and also incredibly annoying for two reasons. Well, for one reason each, rather, I should say. First of all, it's incredibly useful because it's a tacky tape which will attach itself to your model and mask it off. Brilliant. It's not an absolutely fantastic tape because sometimes it takes the paint off when you take it off, so you have to be very, very careful indeed when removing this paint, this tape. So hopefully, this is when you hear me cry on video. This comes off. Now the way you got to do it is you got to get a good large angle like that. Now that's on just the tape, so that's fine. That bit's come off. Excellent. And now this is the main kitty. Let's try and take that bit off there. Right, now I've got to get the angle, and you've got to just sort of really delicately pull it off. Please do not tear this damn paint, or I will swear an awful lot. Fantastic. I was doing a commission one time for a chap, and it was on his what's he called, Inquisitor Coaties, and I used Tamiya tape to mask out some areas for his cloak, and then it was fine crap, or fine cast as you should say, but fine crap in my opinion because I don't like it, and the damn stuff tore the cloak and all the base coat, everything just came right off it from removing that. Needless to say, I wasn't terribly happy. So, right, if I place that one there, now hopefully you might be able to see I've got some nice blending on there, so if I try and get stronger light, there we go. Now, as you can see, it blends rather nicely from the midnight, is it called midnight blue? Something like that anyway, up to this sort of magic blue, and a tiny, tiny highlight on the top for the electric blue and midnight blue mix. As I said, I didn't want it too stark. Now, there are things that are key here, and as I whack the camera, I'll be able to explain to you. Right, now, control, hopefully you might have noticed that the trigger might have been sort of just back a little bit, not much. That's important. You do not want a large spray hitting. You want something small. Now, the other aspect is the PSI, the pressure you're going to put through one of these things, because you want to lay the spray on delicately, and that's very important. Another important aspect is movement. You really must make sure you move. You do not stay in one spot and go splat, splat, splat. Oh look, it looks all splodgy. You bring your trigger back slightly, how far you need it to go, and you basically just go over and over and over, and sometimes it takes a while. And if you notice, like these spots here, it's because, you know, it's acrylic and it paints rather well, but it dries rather quick. And as you can see, if I bring that there and it gets into focus one day, sometime soon, yeah, I can see the paint has already started drying on the needle. That happens with these things, and of course the smaller the diameter, the more pain in the backside it can be. And basically what you have to do is then just jet a load of spray out to let it, you know, to clear it, and then basically allows you to then spray further. I've had times when it's got caught, it hasn't really sprayed that well. I brought my finger back a little bit more to allow something out, and it has erupted all over the piece, which I really don't want it to do. So, and the final thing, the most important thing, is taking your time. Now, the American chap who I follow on YouTube, basically, hello Scamp, yeah, be quiet you. He's just come in, wants food as usual. His brother never does that though, still anyway. When you are airbrushing, what you must do is take your time. Build up your layers slowly. The slower it goes, the better it is. It seems quite daft to say, but as you can see, I took a decent amount of time just for something so small to do that. This one, I thought I'd just get it started along with those, and as you can see, the blue is sort of almost, the dark blue on the bottom has almost taken over the whole sail at the bottom, which is a pain in the backside. So I'm gonna have to go blend back from the light to the dark in there, and the reason is because I just didn't, I sort of maybe I rushed it, really. Same with this. This one's okay. It's a little bit blended to a circular sort of edge there, which isn't desirable, but still, at least it's down in the bottom corner. Anyway, so to recap, basically make sure that your paint is isn't too thin or thick. What I used was basically, well, I just grabbed this one anyway, it was 3 drops of this to 1 drop of the Flow Aid mix, and then when mixing it up I left this quite damp, okay, you know, so I basically bring it out about that moist, sorry, if you can see it, and it's got just a little bit more that can help to bring it out, as I've discussed in the previous, you know, the mixing thing tutorial. So 3 drops, 1 drop, a wet mixing brush to aid mixing in the paint section. So first of all, yes, make sure that your paint mixture is good. Make sure that your trigger action is very slight to allow a small laying on of paint. Make sure that the pressure from your compressor is small enough to not spot, but small enough also to lay on a nice good thick, a nice coat. Keep the motion going for whatever you're doing. In this case, it was sort of like that. And start, oh dear me, that's it, whack that, sorry. And start from sort of like, you know, the bit that you want to be darkest, and basically build up in layers like that. So you go up and up and up and up, there you go, there you go, there you go. And take your time. Alright then, people of YouTube, I hope that has been useful. This is most I turned out to be another 200-minute video. As I said, it is in HD, so please do check it out, as practically all of my videos are in HD. If I'm just prattling on at the camera, that won't be HD. Alright then, people, have fun. Like if you like, subscribe, please do. I've got, my subscribers are slowly increasing, and also good luck with your blending.